and good time zones, dear listeners. I am your navigator of the digital grid and guardian of the internet, Nico Silverado, and welcome to another glorious episode of The Silver Lighting, the show where we give the opportunity to spotlight various creators and give them the voice they so desperately deserve while searching for the silver lining through the often stormy skies of the internet. In tonight's episode, we are dealing with the world of comparison culture and overnight success in the various worlds of content creation narratives. Joining me today is the Phoenix, Lee the Phoenix. We'll figure that out. Could have done better, but it's fine. Hi, Lee. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hello, everybody. I am Lee the Phoenix. I'm actually a wrestler from Sonic, from the world of Sonic.
Wrestling.
And I've even actually wrong button. I've actually got a wrestling belt too.
The belt. We do love some belts. But yes, for those who are joining us here today, do not forget we are recording a live studio audience recording of today's episode here today on Twitch. If you guys are watching from the YouTube video, consider checking out the link in the description. That way you guys have access and the ability to check out the episode and check out all the other various things. But guys, I am so stoked to have Lee here because we are here on episode 6, and today's a really interesting concept, a really fun conversational bit here today. But as always with every episode, before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything here today, the goal is to learn more about our lovely guest here. And Lee, again, I just want to thank you so much for being here today in our episode, in our show. It's been really fun to just get so many fun people here. So, Lee, before we get into the nitty-gritty, why don't you give us a bit of a lore dump of who is Lee the Phoenix?
Well, so the lore is it's actually interesting because I was tricked into getting on a big airship controlled by Eggman, and he basically lured us with the promise of a wish, and then it turned out to be a fighting arena. So how I actually got this belt was I actually had to defeat Shadow for it.
Did he have a gun?
No.
Ah, he handicapped himself. As long as he doesn't.
Oh, trust me, I made him wish he would have used one.
There you go. A man hit him with the suplex and he was like, oh, can't do it, Maria. And then just goes down.
Submissions.
There we go. That is awesome. So Lee, as a content creator, where would people typically find you? Are you on Twitch, YouTube, Kick?
I'm actually on Twitch and YouTube, even though I haven't really kept up with my YouTube as of late. I need to still change the name on it. But you can mostly find me on twitch.com under Lee the Phoenix 13.
Heck yeah. It was funny when I was getting ready to do the show and I was getting ready to like try to tag you. I found it was another Lee the Phoenix accidentally, and it was like just
interesting.
Yeah, it was just Lee the Phoenix, no numbers. I'm like, oh, it's this alternate account. But then I looked at it, I'm like, oh wait, that's not even a person who uses the actual Twitch. I'm like, no, wrong person.
Ooh. Well, funnily enough, I'm not even the only Sonic themed Phoenix.
Fun.
I found.
Well, the funny thing is, part of my logo actually is inspired by Silver the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I actually noticed that.
Yeah, part of my name's lore is included a little bit with Silver the Hedgehog, but so what made you pick? So like when you were wanting to become a VTuber, what made you pick the Sonic universe specifically?
Well, if I'm being honest, it's mainly because I actually drew a lot of Sonic fanfic in the classroom in high school.
Uh-huh.
And that lore, like that comic, actually became my lore when I rebooted it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did reboot the thing because the first iteration got way out of hand. But then again, I was a high schooler.
Yeah. Well, honestly,
but
awesome.
Yes, I still do draw Sonic fanfic.
Heck yeah. So like in general, like are you like more like everyone in the Sonic universe, or are you more like a fanfic that kind of focuses on one character and like your own headcanons?
It's kind of like headcanons, but I try to keep it as faithful. In this iteration, I try to keep it as faithful as possible to the source material. Like, so, but I will say that a lot of it is inspired by Sonic Adventure 2.
Nice.
And if I may do a little bit of self promo here, in my Discord server, I actually do have the lore comic going up.
Nice.
Gradually.
That's cool. So I gotta know, who is your favorite hedgehog?
Shadow.
There we go. Just because he's edgy, shenanigans, and strong?
Shadow is actually like my character is the inverse of Shadow.
Okay.
Shadow's actually a huge inspiration for Lee the Phoenix.
Nice.
I will say though that my favorite character has always been Knuckles.
Nice. Like, I think for me, like I played a lot of like Sonic Adventures 2, and then like for me Sonic 06 was on. I'm not gonna lie, this might be a hot take, but Sonic 06 is my favorite Sonic game.
I mean, I can see it because I mean, if the game doesn't break for you.
Well, that's the funny thing. I loved it because it broke.
Well, there was one, I don't even know how I found it, but in Crisis City, there was an invisible wall between a jump on a spring that you can't avoid. Like, I don't know how I got this glitch to happen, but it literally game overed me for it. And I was like, what?
Like, what do you do? Honestly, like for me, I think what made me love Sonic 06, like number one, Silver the Hedgehog, fantastic time, but also the music. Like Sega team will always have goated music ability because like they make some pretty solid stuff. And but like I think for me it was a game that I could play over and over again, and I could always feel like I was playing something brand spanking new. And you know, the fact that I could play all three hedgehogs at once, so fun. And also like Silver's storyline and his ending for, you know, Iblis and all that, like that made me cry a couple times, you know. But
okay,
I don't know, like to me, like my top Sonic games are probably Sonic Frontiers, because for again the music, but then also I love and adore the shenanigans of 06. I actually found that someone was actually independently recreating Sonic 06 in a PC ROM. And
that where it wouldn't break. Yeah, I heard about that.
I tried playing it, so like they have all the stages, but they don't have any of the story mode cutscenes yet, unfortunately. But like that's all I need. Like if I could just play the story mode on that, best game ever. I would play so much of that.
Nice. See, I've always disliked Sonic 06 myself, but that's mainly because like first of all, the Chow Garden was missing. I think that would have actually helped that game a lot, because why would you go to the worst levels to play to get the Chow stuff? Yeah, you're gonna replay the best levels, which reinforces positive memories. That's why I think the Chow Garden is goated. Yeah, by itself. Like best side mode ever. Yeah. Heck yeah. Honestly, I think it's kind of funny like how like our interests as we grow up kind of influence a lot of our like the way that we develop as creators. Like, you know, like for me it's like, oh, Silver the Hedgehog inspired part of my logo's content creation, and then like games like Tron and the Tron universe inspired my personal aesthetic, and so on. Like it's just cool. So like with you, because like obviously like, you know, you're the Phoenix in the Sonic universe, so like what made you like want to like commit to wrestling? Like what was like what's your connection with wrestling for your character? Ironically, it's the music. Like old-fashioned WWE, just intro music of all the wrestlers. If you think about it, having the Sonic music play during a wrestling entrance was the original idea of the comic strip that I draw.
Heck yeah.
And that didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
What did was the rest of the stupidity.
I mean, you gotta have a little bit of stupidity to make it fun.
Oh yeah, it's definitely fun. Like, I mean, there's several OCs, not just me.
Yeah. And is in your fanfic, are you kind of like the main Billy Badass character, or are you kind of like, do you share the spotlight with other characters in your fic?
I share the spotlight, but I'm the main heel.
Okay.
I'm like the top. I'm the top dog. I'm the top dog of wrestling bad guys.
Okay.
Whereas Sonic is the top dog of wrestling good guys.
Sure.
And then Shadow would be called in between. He's basically an in-betweener.
Okay. Nice. That is awesome. So, for those who do not know what this show is about, the Silverline Podcast is an opportunity for you all who are watching here today to learn about fellow content creators who you may not oftentimes be able to hear about or see due to the shenanigans of the algorithm. And one thing I like to do here, on top of being able to have really fun conversations to learn about other content creators, is we get to have a really fun dive in with all of our live studio audience here today about things that we can discuss about the content creation struggle and some of the other fun topics that we have. And don't forget, if you guys do have any questions to Lee during today's episode, feel free to @ me in the Twitch chat. Myself and Moz will do our best to make sure we can keep track of those questions. Or if you guys are part of our Discord, there is a section in our Discord dedicated to Lee's podcast segment, and you can put in your questions there. Or if you want to check out other segments of the podcast, we have a Discord. But Lee, I hope you're ready for a pretty nifty and, I would like to think, a potentially in-depth question series today. So today's question talks about the thing that we have all seen in the world of content creation, especially in the world of Twitch and TikTok, is overnight success and comparison culture. Are you ready for some fun ones here today?
Oh, yeah.
So before we get into it, I want to know, Lee, when you hear the word overnight success, what does that mean? And do you think it's a myth in the content creation space?
No, it clear. I don't think it. I mean, I don't want to say it clearly isn't, but it just overnight successes do happen. But you've got to be lucky with the right timing and the right place and the right everything. Everything has to be just right. It's not really a so much as a you can control it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if you could, everybody would do it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think like one thing that people don't oftentimes think is like, sometimes you just make that one TikTok, that one Twitch video, or you have the right person in your audience who just triggers a series of domino events that just starts it off really small and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So have you ever been a part of, or have you ever witnessed someone become an overnight success?
No.
Damn.
I have not, actually. I mean, the closest would actually be one of my online friends. But the thing is, she's actually growing quite gradually.
That's
like
good.
Compared to what we're talking about. We're talking like thousands of follows at once.
Yeah.
Where she's not even at 1,000. So. But I will say that I was around when she first started at around like 100 followers, and like before she even hit affiliate, I knew about her, and now she's at close to 1,000. I think it's around 850.
Nice. Honestly, that's such a cool thing to be a part of. Like, especially like, there's something to be said about being a day one person or like a trailblazer for a content creator, because, you know, I think for me, the only time I've ever personally experienced a sudden influx of events was when a TikTok of mine went viral for a day and I didn't know what to do about it. Like I've only ever had one TikTok video reach 4 million views. And that was scary because
honestly, I've only ever had one video I've ever done hit quad views, quad new numbers.
Oh yeah.
And that was like it was a smash video.
Yeah, like for me, like what happened was I did a YouTube video, and what was funny is the only reason why it went viral is because people thought my video was a racist remark about Pokemon. But what was really wild about it was people were back and forthing it because I had half the people saying there's nothing racist about this, it's Pokemon, get a grip, and then other people were reading way too much into it. And the only reason why it got viral was because it triggered a sense of like, what the hell did he say? Brah. And you know, to this day, that I think that video is officially like no longer done anything, but like every so often I'll get videos out there that just like get person after person after person, and it's weird like when overnight success happens for content creators, because one of two things will happen, right? Either A, the success will suddenly bring about a large volume of new people to be involved in your community, or you have a thing where content creators will see the overnight success, but they won't do anything to keep it going. Like they'll just let that one moment cook, and then they don't do anything to like capitalize on the moment.
But I do see, in your particular case, I see exactly why you didn't let that one cook.
No, well, because like the problem was like, did I want it to cook? Yes, because I knew I was not in the wrong, but at the same time, I wasn't really a streamer that did anything, or nor did I know how to do it, because this was also back during peak COVID when everyone and their mother was a content creator. And you know, I think if I was a big of a streamer as I am, like as big as doing streaming as I am now, that would have been a way different conversation. But like,
yeah,
for me, I don't believe overnight success is a myth. I think it's only, the problem with overnight successing is that you will find that for the most part, overnight success is a fear that some streamers have because they don't know how to capitalize on it.
I would almost say in some cases, and yours is a perfect example, it's unsustainable. It's completely unsustainable. It can be yours is a good example of that. Yours was, for lack of a better term, a political thing, and it's like, that's not what you want your brand to be. That's not what you want anything to be.
Now,
so that would have been unsustainable if you had done that.
Yeah. And I think like one thing too is like you brought about the idea of brands, and I think that's such a good thing to think about, because like, you know, being like, for lack of better words, being famous for the wrong reason, I think really negatively impacts you as a creator in the long run. Because like if you are a content creator who's like a streamer on Twitch, if you suddenly got famous because of a political comment that you made, if you capitalized on it and you fed the fire on that, you're going to be known for something that isn't about your content. It's about an opinion that you had at one given time. Or you may have, or like if getting famous over like a clip where you got really, really passionate and may have said something kind of stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something that I would want for sure.
Now, it would be definitely very problematic. And honestly, the reason why I wanted to talk about this here today was that, you know, we've witnessed a lot of people in the content creation space who do become overnight successes, and some of them take it really well and some of them not so much. Like Magnus in the chat said, like Hawktua Girl. For those who do not know who that is, Hawktua Girl was a woman at I think it was like a big celebration party thing, and she was interviewed by a random streamer, and the words that she got famous for was, you gotta give him that Hawktua spit on that thing. And what happened was, this woman literally overnight became a meme, became a sound on TikTok, and she amassed millions of followers, to the point where she even was offered a reality show for her adventures of life.
What?
Yeah, like, and the funny thing is, Hawktua, like I need to find out this whole thing here, because like, let's see, it's like, it did happen. This is a real thing.
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, it's like, come on, people. Seriously.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so this is what it has said. Yeah, so it's been 1 year since Hawk Tour Girl made Haley Welch a social media star. A lot has happened to the 22-year-old in the past 12 months. She got hit with strange requests, tried to launch her own merch. She had a podcast, and then she got famous, and then she has basically since then disappeared from the internet. And honestly, she even had a cryptocurrency started. So moral of the story, she basically disappeared. Now, what's kind of wild is like, I cannot imagine being able to go that viral to that level, you know? It'd be terrifying.
Especially for something weird like that.
I mean, you know, okay, so Lee, I guess like a first like personal question I have for you is, do you believe there is such thing as bad publicity when it comes to trying to seek fame?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's always bad publicity.
Mm-hmm.
There, like, not all publicity is good publicity. There's just some things you don't want.
Mm-hmm. 15 minutes of fame and poof. Honestly, you're right. And because like one of the biggest problems is that like when it comes to like a lot of people who get famous, sometimes it comes back to the statement I had earlier. You either know how to capitalize it and you make that like your big thing, or you only like you feed that one particular moment and that's all you're known for. And in the case of streaming, you know, streaming content creators get famous for clips, for things they say, or just their stream identity. And the successful ones are the ones who keep pushing it and do things that allow them to be really, really big. Like right now, some of the biggest American streamers, Queso, Kaisanat, and IShowSpeed, those are three names that have done a lot of big things. And Kaisanat is an individual who got very famous very quickly, but he's done steps that allows him to retain his fame.
Yeah, so I mean, and there is a such thing as good publicity. Like,
Yes.
Okay, like I mean, say I made a really, really funny Smash clip or something like that, like something that did go viral just on the merits of it being good content.
Yeah.
I could become an overnight success due to that, and I could actually keep it going as a like I could keep that sort of thing going.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that one bit. But it's more about finding a balance, I guess.
Sure. And you know, I think like one thing is like in the world of content creators, we find ourselves in a lot of groups, a lot of people that are in our social networks that we find who are either streaming as often, if not more than us, and are oftentimes hitting a lot of milestones. And for Phoenix and chat, for those of you who are here today, the next question I have here for you, Phoenix, is how do you like if you were to watch a friend of yours go viral, how do you personally deal with seeing other creators hit their milestones or even going viral while you're still out here grinding? Basically, do you ever get a sense of toxic jealousy or just jealousy in general?
I can't say I do any, like, I mean, I would be a little jealous, but it's not like it's not an extreme thing where it's like, I don't see it as an unhealthy amount of jealousy, because I would be like, oh, that's actually excellent.
Yeah.
Like my friend, I started streaming with one of my IRL friends, and they are in a bad way most of the time. So if they actually kicked off and went viral, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's a I mean, that's the thing about the comparison thing, is like, I do get compared to this person all the time because we did stream together a lot.
Yeah.
We still do. It's just not as much because, like I said, they're usually in a bad way. But it they have two advantages that I'll never have. And I've just basically accepted that. So the comparisons, I don't even really pay attention.
Because like for me, for example, I tend to find myself to be very, like, I will admit I have hit multiple instances of feeling extremely jealous during individual, because like throughout my years of streaming, I have witnessed friends who have streamed for 1 year and they would go from 0 to 40 viewer averages seemingly within the span of a month. And like I would look at their VODs all the time and think to myself, in an almost a sense of anger, how the hell are they, like, what are they doing differently? And like for me, I am a jealous individual, because I've been streaming now for 7 years, but about the past year and a half, I've been actually trying to get things to happen for me streaming. And like for myself, what's been really crazy is I've been able to understand that my jealousy is by no means toxic to the point that I would wish disdain on my fellow creative friends. For me, it's a jealous thing because I want to know what I'm doing differently or wrong, but no one has an answer for me.
And really, there may not be one.
Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there isn't.
But I know like I said, two big advantages. I don't really want to go over what those two advantages are because, well, it's a little crude. But simply put, I just don't have those advantages. And especially on a platform like Twitch, it's like you can compare yourself all day to other people, but in reality, your own measure of success is what matters.
Sure. Now, in regard, if I was to be a guessing man, am I assuming the visual appeal of certain creators is the big difference? Aha.
Yes.
And you know,
1 and 2.
1 and 2. And you know, honestly, I think that there is, like, I'm not gonna lie, I do have those thoughts myself where I do believe sometimes those assets that some people have does contribute a lot to their initial theme and initial success, because it's a visual appeal. And in the world of content creation, like, appeal and overnight success come hand in hand, because you know, if you're going through TikTok, and for VTubers, visual appeal is oftentimes our very first like entryway for people to say, oh my gosh, that's a cool looking model, and then it allows them to go deeper, you know, because like for VTubers, you're going through TikTok, boom, the first thing you see is a model. Then you ask yourself the various questions. Number 1, is the model cool? Great. Is the model sexy? Even better. Then you kind of wait around, hear what they sound like. Do they sound nice? Amazing. Love that. And you find that, like, there's a lot of, sometimes it is really easy to blame the lack of appeal, that why some of us are not as good as, are not popping up as much as other people. And you know, sometimes I think it is not necessarily hand in hand, but sometimes I think that is a factor about the success or failure of other creators. Is just the visual appeal and lack thereof.
There is something to it, but I think part of it, in terms of my comparison to my friend, in this particular case, is that they tend to have more like
Emphasis,
interactivity, I guess.
Sure. And I think,
whereas the most I have is like a belt and a few other things. Like,
sure.
I don't really have like a thing that makes me bigger, or like a thing that punches me off the stage or anything like that.
Sure. And
mainly because I'm not smart enough to program that stuff.
And you know, honestly, that's 100% fair. And I think it really is, in a way, I'm not going to call it required, but it does set you apart when it comes to
it helps. It definitely helps to have more interactivity.
Yeah. And you know, I think, because like for me, it's one of those things where you know, if you look back at creators who have no face cam, no model, it's just voice, like there's a different degree of effort required from all those different levels of people, because like if you start off at like the very bottom of the level like thing where it's just people who go live and all they have is a voice, at that point, you know, what they're required to do is they're required to have the verbal interaction, the action of the game, and the near instantaneous ability to respond to chat as needed. And sometimes people do like that, and it does acquire a sense of appeal, but also like I think a lot of times too, it sometimes is to an extent a presence of social media or even outward exposure. Because like, for example, a common thing that I find that I lack that some of my other fellow creators do, some of my fellow creators are very, very good at talking and being involved in other streams. Like you find them all over the place in other places. And sometimes that's how they get viewership, is because you visited person C a couple times. Now person C is gonna come over to you and you now have a free viewer / mini stream friend. And the interactiveness outside of stream, I think, is what really makes people successful in the long run, because it's hard.
In my experience, and I mean, I definitely don't have as much experience as you do. I've only been streaming for 5 years, and I was that name, the, you know, faceless voice, because I was trying to take after, like, it was basically it's actually an interesting story how I even became a content creator in the first place. It was mostly out of spite.
I'd love to hear it.
So, long story short, my favorite content creator actually did not my actual favorite content creator stopped doing the content that I watched him for, which was Sonic content. It was Sonic Adventure 2 specifically. He stopped doing it. And I was like, fine, I'll do it myself. So I did.
Heck yeah. So, and like, so the spite thing was because, like, you know, I want to play, I'm going to make my own content because if he can't do it, I will.
Yes.
That's cool.
And that's what happened. And that's why I modeled myself after him specifically. This other, but as it developed, I eventually realized that, you know, maybe going the VTuber route, because my friend had already became a VTuber at this point. I was like, you know, maybe I should think about getting a model like a PNG, just a PNG. Yeah. That's all I intended to be, but it evolved into something else.
Sure.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But this was when I started to realize the appeal of Twitch in and of itself is different than the appeal of YouTube. I was never a big fan of Twitch at the time that I started Twitch.
Yeah.
Which did not help me at all. It's why it took me 4 years to hit affiliate.
Honestly, that's fair. So, so for you, what do you think is stopping you from doing more YouTube content on top of Twitch? Laziness?
Laziness. Just 100% laziness.
Honestly, fair.
That is what it is. I've got no other excuses.
So so for you, if you were to eliminate laziness and eliminate the procrastination, do you know what type of content you would try to promote on YouTube, or would it be kind of like the same thing on Twitch where you just live stream on YouTube?
It would be shorts. I would definitely go with the shorts. And in fact, I'm going to start doing that as like for reviews on my YouTube channel for shorts, because I think that's actually a good way to get the shorts. For some reason, get a lot more views than the videos nowadays.
They do.
My best performing video is actually a short.
Yeah. And really, like, it's like right now, analytically, more people consume shorts than they do normal horizontal style content. However, there is still people out there, like, this is a very made up metric, but like basically 70% of your content can be shorts and you will find great success, while the other 30% is the occasional long form video. Because right now, the meta, I guess we're gonna call it anything, the meta of the content creation right now is all about doing the situation involving the usage of shorts, involving using your shorts to connect to your long form content, and the system behind it. And for anyone who's watching here today and is joining us here tonight, we do have a section in our Discord that is available that is dedicated to streamer advice if you guys ever do want to learn more about the fun things there. But what I want to like know here about Phoenix is like would you only want to do shorts, or would you ever see yourself doing like more like long form, some more like complicated videos?
If you actually look at my YouTube channel, which is the Blackened Phoenix, actually it's by my old username. I actually I have some edited videos on there. It's mostly the Smash content. I forget exactly what I called it, but there was a series where I did Smash content on YouTube, and that was my best performing stuff. Nice.
That is honestly, I'm glad to see, because like for me, like one of the biggest things whenever I ask anyone else who's a part of the in this show is I always like to kind of figure like where have they reached in terms of avenues for new types of content, because like, you know, it's really easy to try different platforms, to try different types of content. It's really hard to commit to those types of content because people tend to give up after like 1 month or less because the videos are not going from 0 to hero. Because right now, overnight success is for some reason this norm that everybody's trying to make.
It's an ideal, and it's not an ideal.
Now, do you believe people who are trying to achieve overnight success are trying to do it because they are lazy, or because it's a sense of empathy, like they just desperately want it?
It's got to be a combination of both, because like there is an empathy to the people. It's like, oh, they want to be overnight successes because, you know, they can get money and fame and power and that sort of thing. But at the same time, you're not going to be able to sustain it. So it's like, and it also does kind of go into the thing about being the easy way out, I guess is the best way to put it.
Sure. Because I do believe, like, I do agree with you in the sense that it is a sense of both, because I feel like a lot of people who try to attain this ideal of overnight success, you find that they want it because they want to get past the hard part. They want to get past the hump where no one watches you, you're in charge of your own hype, your own content, and then they want the money to roll in right off the get-go. In a way, it's, in my opinion, it's a sense of impatience. And a lot of times, I think it's a sense of empathy, because we've witnessed so many creators go from 0 to hero so fast. But in my opinion, I think it's only because they only share the 0 to hero. Because if you think about it like this, like, I guarantee there are content creators out there who have unknowingly told the public, like, public have only seen like the last 20% of their efforts. Meanwhile, the other 80% is just nothing but constant trial and error. Because, like, you know, we'll throw in another big name out there just for giggles and chuckles. You know, like Jinxie, who's a big Rainbow Six Siege content creator, high energy guy. Jinxie got very famous very recently, but people don't know about the efforts prior to it. And, you know, eventually it's all about the, like Geldon said here, it's all about the niche, because eventually if you make a fandom from that specific niche, the word of mouth of your fellow friends and creators explodes, because word of mouth is more powerful than any content creation ever.
Yeah, and that was what I didn't understand about Twitch at first either.
Yeah.
because I wasn't even rating out like at first.
So,
And
go ahead.
go ahead. Okay. Well, ironically, you brought up an interesting point. Like my inspiration that I told you about earlier, the one that I started content creation altogether because of spite that he stopped doing. He's actually a very gradual, like he's not, I don't know if he's really an overnight success. I know he does permanent content creation, like that's his job.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think he gradually became that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Or if he did explode, it was probably due to the Sonic stuff.
Sure. And it's wild to think, because like I think a lot of times, like if you could just find that one type of content that you love and put energy into, and your community puts energy into, eventually the numbers come in naturally, and then eventually people just come in and help you get out there. Like for example, like if I was doing my graphic designing streams, and you know I have like 30 people who just love my art streams, Twitch will see that, oh hey, 30 people watch this guy's stream. Boop, here's your boost. There you go. More people naturally will come. And so this is a question I've asked every one of my guests as like a new traditional question, Phoenix, is in regards to your, like how you feel you would want to grow as a creator. Would you rather have 10 new viewers every month or 100 new viewers every month? 10?
10.
Mostly for like the gradualness of it?
I prefer gradual growth anyway because it's more sustainable.
Sure.
But I mean, even disregarding that, 100 new viewers, eventually that would become unsustainable, literally. But it's like, you see, in my eyes, I've actually like nowadays I actually do content creation as a form of social interaction.
Totally fair.
Because I don't actually get out much.
Yeah.
But I'm extroverted.
I mean, because like the reason why I always like asking that is because, you know, I think both ways can be sustainable because they are in a sense of gradualness. It just depends on how steep do you want that spike to be. Because that was my actual point though. Mm-hmm. Like I like to put myself out there. I like to I love doing collabs. Like that is my bread and butter type stuff. I love doing it. I actually drain really fast if I try to stream by myself most of the time. There's very few games I can actually do by myself. Sure.
And like having 100 new people to think about doing this type of collab, like I know you don't have to. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't in that case. But it's like, you know, I want to collab with like these three, and then these three, and then these three. Even 10 is a lot to think about, like 10 a month.
Yeah. Because
like I said, I use it as a form of social interaction nowadays. And but I it's not that I wouldn't mind growing. It's that it really is that I just enjoy the social aspects of it.
Sure. Because like for myself, you know, I think like for me, like the idea of up to 100 new people showing up every month, I think would be really cool because, you know, I think like I think I might have changed my answer since the last time I talked about this with my last guest, but I think I really would prefer the 100, mostly because in my idea, I think it's one of those situations where you have the ability to grow to a level that gives you the ability to interact and kind of integrate your opinions, your ideals, and so on with so many more people. And it could be an impatience thing for me personally, but like, I remember I had this conversation with a person who I felt could be partner, but it's an individual who doesn't wish to be partner, mainly because of the drama and because at the end of the day, in his eyes, it's just a badge. It's just a color to your name on Twitch, for example. Like He's an individual that pulls easily 50 to 100 people every stream, but he has no desire to achieve partner status because to him, it doesn't mean anything different. It's more or less vanity. Do you believe the concept of being a partner or being a bigger name person is purely vanity?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Simply put, like the thing is, he's not wrong in that it is literally just a badge, like especially seen in the eyes of the corporation itself of Twitch, which I think is owned by Amazon. But anyway, so it, in a way, it's almost like a badge of achievement. So while it is a vain sort of thing, it is a it's an accomplishment in and of itself. So I don't think I'd mind hitting an accomplishment like that. Like if I could be partner, I would probably choose to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a bunch of financial situation that would go into that I can't really get into because personal stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, the situation is like I would want to be partner, and like if I could do content creation full time, or even part time, I probably would.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually don't want to quit my job because I actually kind of like it, but at the same time, content creation is just more fun than a job.
Oh yeah, no, like it really is fun. And I think it's like one of those things where any hobby is always more than anything amazing and fun. There's always like that whole, there's a whole concept where the moment a hobby becomes a job, you lose its value in enjoyment. Like for example, a common negative that many content creators tend to get really hung up on is numbers. And so what I want to kind of know is for you, Phoenix, what is your relationship with numbers? So we're talking viewer numbers, follows, subs, and do you feel like those analytics tends to, heavily influence people's self-worth?
I mean, it would influence people's self-worth. It doesn't exactly influence mine. I just, I mean, like, I guess a good example, I guess that's kind of incorrect. Like, because, like, if I do a stream and I only average one viewer that stream, and I typically know who that is, I ain't gonna do that again. But like, because my average is around 4.
Sure.
I'm just going to be upfront. My average is 4.
Yeah.
And if I'm hitting average, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because that means people are chatting, people are there, people are enjoying themselves. And that's all I really care about. Like, and especially when I do because I love to set up collabs too. That's one of my favorite things to do as well.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing collabs and stuff like that, I actually don't pull many average viewers. I pull around 3.
Sure.
Especially when I'm streaming with a bigger VTuber.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if this was actually a collab, I would actually probably want to send more people your way anyway.
Sure.
But, and at the same time, these collabs get me more followers to people that could actually come in and watch my content when I'm streaming with somebody else.
Yeah. And
or by myself.
Yeah, and I do agree, like collabs are by all means a amazing method because in general, we as creators are constantly trying to find new people to interact with. And like the reason why I wanted to make this podcast, I made this podcast so that more people like yourself could have access to more channels of people so that people can learn about more than just like, the people who are hitting really big numbers. And, I think for me, one of the biggest problems is that like when we are trying to make a stream, make a content, we always get those one or two viewers who instill a sense of comparison problems to us, where it's like, oh, I'm glad to see you're doing great, but you know, Lee the Phoenix is doing better right now. I'm gonna go ahead and watch them. And then you find yourself in a situation where, in a lot of ways, content creation and the people who are in our communities, they always find themselves comparing us to other of their favorite creators. So in your case, Phoenix, has comparison ever led you to a sense of burnout or creative fatigue? And if so, how have you generally managed it?
It really hasn't. Well, the people who talk in my streams are it's like a tight-knit community.
Mm-hmm.
It very much is a tight-knit community. I've got the Discord server, and all of them, like, because I'm mostly frequent Discord in terms of my social media. A lot of the people who consistently watch my streams
Mm-hmm.
are in that Discord server.
Yeah.
And like everything's very tight knit in that community.
Yeah.
And I mean that does open the door for other problems, but I generally feel like I can handle those problems more so than, oh, you know, your friend is doing better than you right now. I'm gonna go watch them.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like, oh, you can just go do what you want.
And
it's like, if you'd rather watch somebody else, go watch them. I'm gonna be right here when you come back.
it is fair. And you know, like for me, like I don't ever like, to me the concept of gatekeeping viewers is such a hard thing to, like, really, it's hard to justify, because by no means am I thinking that I'm gonna be the greatest and active creator for anybody. Because like, to me, you know, viewers have the attention span of squirrels. You know, it's shiny thing, and jingle keys, and when the keys stop jingling, they can go on to the next person, you know? And like,
exactly.
And I think it's one of those things where smaller creators are victim to this concept of possessiveness when it comes to their viewers, because to them, every viewer is worth 20 plus people. Like, for people who have like a 5 viewership average, going from 5 to 4 for many of them is a kick in the gut, because again, every viewer counts for smaller creators, and obviously every viewer normally counts for all creators. But when it comes to like if you have 10 people and 2 people left, that's 20% of your stream audience gone if you were to put analytics on it. But like, again, I don't think you need to really put those kind of pressures on you, because it does lead to burnout, and inevitably it brings out this creative fatigue where you're just sad that you're not reaching levels of other creators who happen to have become really big really fast.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I never really thought about the numbers before.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that sense, even though I'm a math guy, like I don't love math, but it's a tool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I never thought about that way. Like, if 2 viewers left my stream, like, that would be devastating. That would be 50%.
Exactly. And again, like, I don't think we should ever numerically attach things like that, because especially for smaller creators, again, yes, every viewer counts and every viewer, it matters, but it gets, like we've been saying, it becomes unsustainable when all you worry about is the numerical value of every single person. And it really does, like, it gets really hard. And, you know, I think like right now, one of the biggest things I try to remind anybody who's in the content creation space is, overall, content creation is a touch and go world, and people's success and sudden up in fame is so subjective to change on a daily basis. Because if you think about it like this, a lot of times people who jump into content creation and find themselves suddenly having a lot of traction, they don't know how to keep it up. But then when they take the mental energy to keep it up, it drains at them bit by bit. And eventually it leads to hiatuses, undisclosed vacations, or it causes them to change as people.
And sometimes, like with certain things, it can actually tear apart IRL friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I came across an interesting. Well, it was basically a big drama that led to a bunch of BS.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, I'm better for it because it turns out that person was not really a good friend.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So one example I saw very recently was big VTuber Iron Mouse. She talked about how her journey of being, when she was just Iron Mouse, the everyday VTuber, to the queen Iron Mouse, the difference between the people that used to talk to her versus people who would not give her the time of day because she was too small. Like, it's one of those things where I think there is sometimes an ulterior motive when it comes to a lot of the creators who are looking to go growing overnight. Because it's like, oh, if I collab with this one person who has 10 times more followers than me, then I should be able to grow X amount more because I interacted with them. So like, do you believe, like, because people grow so fast in overnight success, do you believe people weaponize that sudden fame for their own growth?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'd almost say 100%. Like, it's gotta, like, even it has to happen almost. Like,
yeah,
it's part of why I don't want the headache.
It is a headache. It genuinely is.
Like, if I became overnight success, it's like, well, I mean, yes, I would want to spread it around to, say, my close IRL friends and and even my VTube friends. I would want to spread it. I would want to spread the love.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of people coming to me, I'd probably be very suspicious.
Sure.
If I was huge.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, it's hard not to put a label on that, because, at the end of the day, you were at one point, when you're big, you were at one point the same person, a smaller individual who wanted to hopefully genuinely interact in a way to better oneself. And it gets really, really hard to, sustain
differentiate that from people trying to actually use you for numbers.
Exactly. And people grow for all manners of reasons, whether they're really funny, they had a really weird moment that brought a lot of shock and awe, or people got really famous overnight because they interact with one iconic individual. So like, for you, Phoenix, we're gonna play the game of, like, like a what if situation. Assuming you could, and assuming there wasn't any negative repercussions, who would you want to do a collaboration with in terms of general content creation? Not even necessarily only because they're bigger. Like, who would you want to do a collab with for the sake of doing a collab with them?
I mean, I'm gonna exclude the people I've already done collabs with, because that would be my first answer. But it's already been done.
Yeah.
So I would actually probably choose my inspiration, Tear of Grace.
Okay.
I would love to do a collab with him on Binding of Isaac.
Okay.
Because he's a big Binding of Isaac guy, and so am I.
Nice.
I love Binding of Isaac.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I got into the game from him, so
that's cool.
I mean, he even if it's out of spite, he kind of is my Oshi.
Yeah. No, 100%. So, because, like, I think it really does it takes one good collab to make that connection with somebody. And again, I think everyone should always find a way to collab outside of the ulterior motive to grow from their growth. But you can't help it, you know? Like, for example, like if you collab with somebody who has 5,000 followers on Twitch, but yet you're just doing a collab to do a collab, it without trying, it's gonna, for lack of a word, bleed in. It's gonna, like, their community is gonna bleed in with you because it's either genuine interest, they find somebody new to look into. Like, it's not even like you're purposely trying to, you know, leech off their stuff. It just happens.
It just happens, yes. And that I'm okay with, but differentiating that is difficult. This is why I would never actually ask Tier Grace for a collab until I'm actually, you know, I wouldn't say comparable, because Lord knows he's massive.
Sure.
But like I wouldn't ask for a collab until I'm at least half his size.
Sure. Now,
Because it is because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, it's hard to differentiate who's genuine and who isn't.
Sure. So, in your situation, then, have you ever had another creator like help you in terms of like reframing yourself for your own progress or your journey? Like, basically, has someone ever like just helped you revamp to be better?
Yes.
Okay.
Blue Nalu.
Nice.
He is my closest. He's literally my closest online friend.
Heck yeah.
We talk all the time. Like, he's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he not only got paid for my model, he paid for my model.
He did?
Yes.
That's awesome.
I paid for the belt, but he paid for the model itself, and then I was only responsible for getting it rigged.
Sure. I mean, that's a huge thing.
That's still a huge deal. Like, getting the model done is a massive deal.
Massive.
And I can't thank him enough for that.
Oh,
and then on top of that, he got, like, back when I was a PNG tuber, he got me a animated overlay for my streams.
Yeah.
I was like, daggone, like,
that is
I mean,
awesome.
it was awesome, but it's like, daggone, I didn't know how to respond when I found out about that. I was like, well, especially when the model, I was like flabbergasted.
Oh yeah. We actually had something like that happen a few weeks ago. One of my guests, Yagu, who was a full-on PNG tuber.
I think I heard this story, but go on.
Yeah, so Yagu, who's a Jaguar PNG tuber, like full-on PNG, no other models. We were talking about what he would do if he could go 3D and all that. And then the next day after our show, one of my artist VTuber friends made him an entire V-Roid model from start to finish. And he got,
I think I know that V-Roid, I think I know the artist.
Yeah. And
me and her collab all the time. Well, I say all the time. It's not really all the time, but when she's available.
Yeah. And it's so wonderful, like, when you have friends who have, one, either the financial ability or the skill ability to provide you with really cool things. I mean, hell, my logo was provided to me by a content creator friend who I helped him kind of get started in creating. Like, it's those connections and moments that makes the steady, gradual growth so much more worth it, you know?
And you want, well, I mean, that's also part of it, definitely. But you want to know the best thing to me about this particular model? This was a character I designed 18 years ago.
Oh, damn. Just had it in your back pocket?
I had designed this character 18 years ago, and he came to life.
That is awesome.
Because that's how old the comic strip is. I made it when I was 13.
That is super cool, though. I love that. And
yes, so I was almost in tears seeing the model.
oh wait, no, that 100% though. That honestly makes such a sense thing. So
Yeah.
So for you, like, how would you, so like, has your definition of like success as a creator evolved since you started doing content?
Yes. I mean, generally speaking, it has, because I didn't really have a goal other than just making content that I would watch, because I was, again, doing it out of spite. But since then, I've basically been like, okay, so numbers are generally a good thing. You know, I generally like to see at least 3 average viewers in my streams, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because 3 is the affiliate number average, and now I'm averaging 4, but I still like to see 3. That's the number I like to hit.
Sure. Now
it's like a benchmark.
Oh yeah. Now, with regards to like how content creation has been coming as of lately, do you feel like there's pressure nowadays for people to make it faster than normal?
Yes. And a lot of that's probably due to financial pressure.
That's fair.
But I mean that because I mean these overnight successes, they have money now.
Yeah.
So it's like there is financial incentive there, and that can, I mean, as my father would put it, the money makes the world go around.
It does. And,
unfortunately.
And the reason why I asked that is because like I think like nowadays, because shorts have taken over the concept of content creation, whether or not we like it, I think that people are now viewing the sense of creation and content creation and like the sense of how well someone's in content is like how big they get at a given time. Because like, for example, you know, you get this whole pressure of if you make all these shorts, you can find yourself really big. Or a better example would be when people have this idea that if you don't make a YouTube video of a game or of a concept within the first 48 hours, it's already considered dead in the water, or there's too many videos and you're not going to get discovered. So like, that's a sense of like high speed content creation where people genuinely just have to constantly make videos, publish them the day of, or else they're not going to get seen.
I mean, even now, I still get that misconception, because it's like, oh, you just need to be more consistent and that sort of thing. It's like, either I'm going to become big or I'm not. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind, but on the other hand, I mean, situation is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Now, in regards to like your channel in general, do you believe, like, okay, let me rephrase that. Do you have a number in your head that you think would be the golden ratio of viewers, including chatters? Like, if you went live, what would be the perfect number that you think would instill growth, but would still allow you to maintain connection in chat?
That's actually interesting to think about, because the thing is, I don't have that number because I haven't done the math.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about the math.
Like,
that's why I was like, that's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
There is a number, there is a golden ratio for me.
Yeah.
I just don't know what that is.
Sure.
Because I never thought about it.
If you were to guess, like if you were to like, you should throw a number in there, like what do you think it would be? Because like for myself, for example, I think for myself, the golden ratio for me would be anywhere between 30 and 50 people. Because for me, those numbers would allow me to not only get out of like the dredges of Twitch, for example, but also chat would be able to move at a high enough pace that I think I would be able to, number one, be able to read chat, but then chat would still occasionally be constantly moving. Because if you think about it like this,
my number would be lower, I think.
Sure.
I'm thinking more in the teens, like or maybe 18, maybe 18.
Sure, that's a fair number.
Because that maybe between 15 and 20, I'd say. The reason is because I think that would be a good ratio where I can interact with the chat, like the way I like to. Because I do I actually, my streaming setup is that I will pull up OBS and full screen my OBS stream, so I see what the stream is.
Yeah.
But I'll play the game through that so I can read chat through my chat box.
Yeah. Awesome. That's
and
awesome.
I think having like too many viewers at one time chatting would be hard for me to keep up with, especially since I don't really have that many active mods. I mean, I do, but I have active mods, but they're not that many.
Sure.
So I think having a smaller number of viewers until I get more mods, more people I can trust with my channel, that would be the magic number, would be around 15.
Sure. Because like
the more I think about it, it'd probably be closer to 15.
Yeah, and because like I think there is such thing as a overcrowded room. When we did our show with Plucky, he talked about a streamer that he watched that the guy will absolutely stonewall his whole gaming experience if there's too many people in the stream. And then like he somehow makes it a gimmick slash a an event where people have to be culled from the stream before he can continue again, which to me is like such a wild concept, because like
that is wild.
Well, because like it is wild because like in a way it's a two-sided street. On one end you have too many viewers and you can't interact with chat, which would in sense lower the viewing quality for you as the viewer. But then on a side end, you're getting rid of potential people who will want to be a part of your community, but they get kicked because there's quote unquote too many people. But then again, that also can be a streamer, not a gimmick, but like a streamer trait that makes your channel stand out, is because, oh, if you can, it's like, don't get kicked from this guy's stream because there's too many people. If you stay in long enough, you get this and this. Like it's making like a game out of it, you know, making a game out of the situation. And I think that's what gives a lot of people a lot of more fun and just like in a long way, like the long-term notoriety as a streamer. Because anyone can be a streamer with large values of numbers, but like if you're not known for anything, then you're just another streamer with large views. Like for example, like if you watched like something like Fillion, for example, Fillion's known for doing flips, jumping around, doing weird stuff with their 3D models and so on. Like so many different things that make them notably known as a creator versus just being another VTuber with a large follow base.
Yeah, because I mean yeah, I mean, making a game out of chat, but I mean that's also a very exclusive type of attitude too. So it's kind of not it wouldn't be my cup of tea, but I can see the appeal.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of different ways to do it.
And I mean, my bread and butter streams are Smash.
Yeah.
It's a Happy Juice stream, so yeah. But it is what it sounds like,
for sure.
But I do Smash content, and I do love Smash Brothers. But I was trying to branch out a lot more, and that's why my average viewers is kind of down, because like it compared to what it could be if I just stuck to Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to fight my own ADHD and burnout.
And you know, that's fair. And so like, do you believe like having a supportive community helps you get out of that burnout loop or even the comparison loop?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like having a very supportive community is a godsend for a streamer. It has to be. Like I don't know. If a streamer got big overnight and they don't have the support around them, to really like to really handle that, I don't think they would stay big for very long. And that's just an idea I mean, yeah, it is just an idea. Maybe I'm wrong, but I love being tight knit with streaming buddies. It's so much fun to actually do like these collabs and stuff like that, and even like Discord community nights, like that's a good way to actually get a community involved with itself. Like I want to actually do another community night. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I was trying to do one once a month, but then it just got too much for me to plan at one time because of all the BS that was going on at IRL.
No, for sure. And
which that's a conversation in and of itself.
No, and I understand that too. I think like one thing that tends to kind of happen is that like when the community will always support you as a streamer when it comes to like your ability to grow, your ability to, you know, grow the way you do. And as long as they believe you're growing legitimately and growing, you know, organically, then there will always be support about that. Because,
excuse me,
especially in regards to the, you know, the issues of comparisons. I think at the end of the day, streamers will always constantly be hit with that comparison of like, oh, I'm not as good as this guy or not as good as that guy. But then like your community will always tell you, Lee, Nico, you got this, brother. I'm seeing you doing all these really cool things, and like it kind of like reels us back in, you know?
Yeah, actually. And actually, I back to an earlier point. I just saw a message in chat that's like, it's artificial scarcity is kind of a icky concept.
Oh yeah. And again, it's just how some streamers are when it comes to like the way they interact with or how they choose to make their streams different and funky, you know? So I understand it. And again, it's a way to make your stream stand out in ways that may or may not be positive, but you know, that's just how it kind of goes at the end of the day. So
I just had a funny thought. I don't know if I should say it right now.
Say it. Do it.
I do know one thing. If I get big due to the smash, it wouldn't be good for my liver.
God damn. Love it. But no, and like, and honestly, like one of the biggest things is that, you know, when you look at like how people tend to grow as creators, for me personally, I wouldn't mind growing from the occasional like big crazy moment, but like I feel like for me, my preferred path of growth would be from my own actions, not from the actions of other people. Like I don't want to grow because of my interaction with, well, let me rephrase that. I don't want to become famous just because I happen to stream with some random dude. Like I want my efforts and my content to be the main reason why I grow larger.
I guess, well, I definitely am the same way, but at the same time, like I said, I almost feel like I almost feel like in a way not cut out for solo streaming, because like I said, there's very few games that I can actually stream by myself, and I think it's because I wear down too quickly. Like there are times where I've only done like an hour stream of a game because like I wanted to stream, but there was no collabs available that day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stream anyway. And I just wore down so fast. Like I couldn't help it. I just had to end stream early. And I was like, man, I felt bad for doing that. But at the same time, it is what it is. Like maybe I can get known on these like for scheduling collabs and doing this type of stuff, like because I most of the time I am the one that makes collabs happen.
Sure,
I've noticed.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that. There's always
like
that
I don't get invited to a lot of stuff. Like even this, I had to approach you.
I mean, hey, I'm glad you did, you know? Like this show, I'm very happy to have people like being here, hanging out, because like one of the biggest things is like overall, one of the biggest things is that like when it comes to like the power of a good collab is that in a lot of ways it helps motivate. It helps motivate because like for me, I have been a solo streamer, like hardcore solo streamer for the past 6 years. This is the first year that I've ever actually done like more than one collab a year. I have been a solo streamer since I started streaming because all the content that I would make were story games. I didn't like talking to people, and I had the really toxic mentality. I had the super toxic mentality that for some ungodly reason, I thought that if I collabed with someone who was bigger than me, they were gonna siphon out my people because they were more interesting than me, or they were prettier, sexier, or something. I had that problem for a very long time, up until very recently, where I had to kick myself in the face and say, hey, it's not like that. Just get involved with people. And this talk show is my way of getting involved with people again in a way that allows me to, just really like make my mark and talk to more people. Because again, intrusive thoughts for very many years was I should only do solo streams.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I've never really been much of a solo streamer. Like, I just can't keep it that interesting when I'm by myself. But at the same time, I get where you're coming from. There was a lot of stuff that I learned by going to college personally.
Oh yeah.
Like, for example, not everybody's out to get you. Nobody cares. That's a better way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody's really out to get you specifically. It's like I was always taught to believe.
Yeah.
It's that nobody really cares.
Exactly.
Until you give them a reason to.
Mm-hmm.
Either way.
Oh yeah. And like what's kind of funny, like if I were to think like what I learned in college the ability to set things up and to give people a reason to be interested in. Because like when I was in college, I was the president of the nerd club, and I organized and orchestrated events that would allow people to try to be involved. I like to this day, I think back that if I wasn't, this is going to be kind of a semi off topic thing, but if I wasn't practicing to be a social butterfly nerd club member, I probably would have not met my wife, because I would not have started my club if I only did streaming. Because back when I was in college, I had over 8 hours a day every single day to just play games in the common room in my college, you know. But then like I would do events that would bring people in, and I would have a room of like 6 to 8 people in my college just watching me play video games. In a way, it was like IRL streaming, because it was a game they've all wanted to see, and I would interact with them in a way. And like I practiced how to be social and how to talk to people. And it's a weird situation, like where when I think back to like all the decisions that I've ever made as a creator that led to where I'm at now, crazy. Like even like choosing like to be a VTuber or a face cam streamer, those are all situations that I've thought about when it comes to like what leads to my success, you know. Like for a very long time, I was a face cam streamer when I first started doing content creation, but then when I went to VTubing for the first time, I lost a lot of people because one, my model was really bad, but two, not many people like seeing VTubers, especially now there's a whole big issue with AI. So like Lee, I want to ask you like a question for you. Do you believe with the recent spike in AI that people are going to negatively associate VTubing with AI?
Sure, it'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine that the people that are like into VTubers and would watch a VTuber would understand the difference.
And what's kind of funny is like I have had a lot of very interesting situations where I've had people try to report my channel because they think I'm an AI script.
What?
Oh yeah, no. Well, because like if you think about there's a very popular VTuber by the name of Neurosama, who is an AI scripted VTuber. But her creator Videl, he is oftentimes on stream with her to make sure that the stream algorithm works pretty good.
Interesting.
But like she is 100% an AI script.
That's a weird thing to think of. Well, I've always said that AI itself is a bit of a tool, like, but people just use it the wrong way. Period. Like, you almost never see it used correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And even in that case is a bit of a gray area.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know,
I mean, you can see the like there's definitely talent there.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, there is. I mean, there's definitely a talent, because talent is an asset.
Oh yeah, there is 100%. And you know, like right now, one of the biggest problem with comparisons is like from an artistic standpoint. There's a lot of artist comparisons with content creation for art because, you know, as a designer, I get constantly dealing with people who don't understand the difference between AI generated art versus normal human made art. And you get a lot of people in the art streaming category sometimes who will come into your stream and says, that's a cool design of art. My AI could do it faster. And it comes to the comparison of, you know, technology being insane. And yes, I can attest, because of my job, AI can do things very fast if you know how prompts work, but it comes down to a situation where, you know, it does it fast, but it probably stall what you're actually using. Not really. Like AI is, because like at my job, I have coworkers who are very who are required because of workflow requests to use AI to make things very fast, and we do things like they use AI in order to make things more, for lack of better terms, in our style. And 9 times out of 10, the stuff that they create is visually, aesthetically good enough for the customers that we sell it to. But again, it comes to the comparison of, can I make that versus the AI? But then that's a whole other like
that's
podcast.
Another ball. That's a different ball game, because it's like I mean, that's another example of me saying that AI is a tool. Like,
yes,
it's a tool to be used for good or ill.
Exactly.
And like I said, talent is an asset.
Mm-hmm. And you know, it comes down to like right now in the world of content creation, we're being given this requirement now that the tools at our disposal should, quote unquote, allow us to become overnight successes just because of what's available. We have tools that allow you to create clips from any stream within mere seconds, and all you gotta do is copy, paste, and done. Boom, you have a supposedly viral opportunity of a clip. You have now made by Mr. Beast, real thing, an AI thumbnail generator that creates high definition thumbnails using AI to shoot out thumbnails faster with the usage of that machine and technology. There's technology is more powerful than ever before, and right now it's a moral segregation between, do we use these tools to become overnight successes, or do we avoid the tools in order to maintain our moral upstanding values as creators? Because like, for example, Lee, do you have the, like, if you don't want to answer this is fine, do you believe that you personally have the ability to create every aspect of your content creation, from shorts to long form videos and so on?
Well, I mean, to
the level that you would be satisfied with.
That's a weird thing to think about, because there's a lot that goes into it.
Yes.
But the answer, I guess, is yes. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, I oddly enough, my thumbnails on YouTube, you can kind of tell they're not very good. I made them in Microsoft Paint.
There you go.
But I made them myself.
honestly,
They're not good and they don't catch your eye.
So,
but I did it myself.
funny enough, actually, about Microsoft Paint, my editor showed me a League of Legends streamer whose all of his thumbnails for League of Legends are made in Microsoft Paint, but they're so bad, they're good. Because if you think about it like this, every thumbnail right now is this high definition, hyper detailed, crazy contrast, whatchamacallit. But yet, if you found a thumbnail with a white background and an MS Paint Sonic the Hedgehog, you might get people to click on Sonic the Hedgehog because it's such a visibly different thumbnail than what we ourselves are used to. And it's insane to think about that because we've been so trained on high detail, high contrast that we sometimes don't remember that simplicity can win.
Oh yeah, there's a beauty in simplicity.
Oh yeah, like you could win in Microsoft Paint.
Oh yeah. But my thumbnails are. I wish I could put an example of one of them, but my thumbnails, the way I made them, are the best way I can describe them is clean.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. If it's clean, you're good.
Yeah, it gets the point across. It's a Super Smash Brothers. It's a Super Smash Brothers video made by Phoenix. There you go.
There you go. Oh yeah. And of course, like that's a whole other podcast topic too about like what it is that requires you to be good nowadays. But like there's so much you can talk about in regards to like how technology is allowing people to really good. But what I was trying to get at eventually on was, Phoenix, would you, as a creator with your skill set, would you use AI to accelerate the workflow? Not replace, but accelerate. As in, for example, would you use AI in shorts to help create a description and provide hashtags for a YouTube short?
Honestly, as just for descriptions, because I find that to be the worst part of content creation, at least in YouTube side of it. Probably.
Sure.
If I could figure out a way to do it, I probably would. Like I said, the description of a YouTube short. First of all, who on earth reads a description of a YouTube short?
Not many.
Secondly, it's like, I'll put in a few word paragraph anyway, just because, like I said, I find even on the regular YouTube videos, I'll do that because I find that part of it to be very dull.
Sure. And because like I think like one of the things like YouTube shorts and TikTok shorts descriptions, those can power the ability for your content to be found. It just depends on whether or not you feel like you're able to actually grow from that particular thing. And again, like one of the big things that it comes down to is like, in terms of the AI concept, AI tool versus AI replacement. Because you can use a tool to help you narrow down a description. Like I use AI in order to convert like tonight, I'm gonna use AI to convert this podcast and help me find short moments, because I don't want to go through 2 hours of videos and try to make a short every couple minutes. Like there's an acceleration aspect of it. But again though, like there's a very, very, very fine line, because like when it comes to like making thumbnails, I'm not going to use AI to make thumbnails because I have too much respect as an artist who can make my own thumbnails, because also it's a human element aspect of it. But like that is an art.
There's an art aspect to that too. Like,
yeah, because like there's a line.
Yeah, I mean, I try to avoid it like the plague usually, but I like I keep saying with my friend, it is a tool. It's just when you're using it outright to replace like things that a human can do.
Yeah.
And I mean that in like a sense of like, oh, I can't sing this, for example. Let me use AI instead of actually hiring somebody who can sing it. That's when you can start getting into like the gray and black areas where it's like, not for me. I would rather pay somebody to sing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And God, my cat's over here like jumping back and forth, like her ass is blocking like your face, and I can't see past the chat. Like, help.
Bunny was hopping all over the place too.
Oh yeah, it's always how it goes, you know. So what I want to kind of get into, to remind people who are here today in the chat, the biggest silver lining that we have in regards to the world of overnight sensations and, you know, comparison narratives. When it comes to the realms of overnights, overnight successes are oftentimes candles that are lit on both ends and the wax is melting really fast. They are bright and shiny for a long time, but a very small percentage of overnight successes actually maintain a legacy that is rememberable. And nowadays, everybody is an overnight success, but nobody is remembered because of it. Because overnight successes happen so frequently nowadays that no one is able to maintain themselves in the long run. Same thing with comparison narratives. Comparison narratives are because of things such as overnight successes, because you're finding yourself where you're being compared to somebody who is streaming for 3 months and they became a Twitch partner just like that. That's great for them, but at the end of the day, how are they going to maintain that growth? How are they going to maintain that ability? And obviously, you know, I have no right to say what is right, what is wrong in this adventure, but it's always important to remember that for the most part, these types of events happen frequently and often, and how we as creators choose to make ourselves survive in the long run kind of separates us from the common folks to those who are going to survive in the long game.
And I mean, that's all it is sustainability versus instant growth.
Mm-hmm.
And even the money, even money you can describe as that sort of thing too, because I would rather have monthly payments than, you know, a big ass lump sum of every dollar I'm ever going to make.
Exactly. So for you, Phoenix, what would you say is your way that you've been trying your best to make sure that you can protect your peace of mind while still be maintaining focus as a creator?
That's interesting. I don't actually do that. Like, I get an itch to stream and I do so. That's usually how it goes. I don't even keep a good schedule because I'm just not the kind of person that do stuff like that. Like I will schedule out streams with people that I have to.
Sure.
And stuff like that. Like this stream, for example, tonight, or what we're doing now. Like I had to schedule it out. I made the schedule work. I will keep a schedule.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I don't really like on a personal level. I just don't really do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't burn out, but I don't I just don't have the schedule, so to speak.
That's fair, and that's totally fine, honestly. And I don't think not really everybody needs to have a schedule, because like, especially for a lot of us who are genuinely smaller size creators, for a lot of us, the ability to even stream on a day off is more than satisfactory in terms of, you know, the long-term W's that we all chase on a day-to-day basis. And I think like one of the biggest things is the best way to maintain focus for right now is understand that there will always be somebody who will just get that 1 in a million chance where they will go from 0 to hero super quickly. Obviously, it's important to have a degree of foresight. It's important to have a degree of ability to understand what's happening out there in the content creation space. And if you're trying to grow and if you're trying to obtain higher yields and higher numbers, and the biggest situation is you have to be very aware of what's happening in the content space, especially for anyone who's trying to grow big. Like if you're a hobbyist streamer and you're just doing this for shits and giggles, then you don't have to worry about the comparison culture or anything like that, because at the end of the day, it's a hobby. You're not looking to become Billy Badass And if you are trying to become Billy Badass, let it happen naturally. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm legitimately like a IRL. I'm a biker. Like I'm legitimately a biker. So you know, the leather jacket and everything. That's not. I do wear leather jackets IRL.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, a lot of these ideas are mine.
Yeah.
But shoot, I forgot where I was going with that. Dang it, ADHD.
It happens, you know. But
yeah.
But I would like.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So, Phoenix, I want you to think back to younger you when you started content creation. What would you tell? Like, what would you tell yourself to do differently in terms of the way you start content creation? Now that you've gained some like knowledge of what you've done.
People are not out to get you.
Mm-hmm.
That is the one thing I would say. Like, you know, generally they just don't. It is the advice that I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are not out to get you. They just don't care until you give them a reason to do so.
Totally fair. I mean, don't forget the shadow government.
That also means you need to go out there and make friends rather than sitting in here keeping the same friends that you've had for many years
Mm-hmm.
and annoying them to get your social interaction. You need to put yourself out there. You need to put your neck out there. And yes, it does mean your head will get chopped off occasionally, but that's just the risk you take.
Yeah.
Especially as an extrovert, you have to put yourself out there. And also, I would tell myself, no, you're not introverted. Be quiet.
And like many people in touch say, you know, you live and learn. And, you know, the biggest thing is like instant, like to me, we're gonna circle back to like one of the main important beginner questions there is, you know, is overnight success or instant fame a bad thing? I think that for a lot of people, overnight success is mentally overstimulating because many of us, at least at my level, for example, we do not know how to live or handle that level of success, the good or the bad. I think that had we been given an opportunity to gradually work with the circumstances that we have, I think overnight success can be an exciting venture, but it is a situation that for many of us is just mentally too much and we are adversely terrified of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as we get to the relatively close end of today's podcast, I want you guys all to remember this, that every single one of you who is watching this video, whether from the YouTube or from the live audience on Twitch, I want you guys all to think about it like this. Whether you are the streamer who is overall themselves, whether if you are the streamer who is genuinely trying their best to avoid comparison culture and trying to make yourself feel unique, or if you're the streamer who coincidentally had one or two really epic moments recently in your content creation has boosted your experience or boosted your analytics, do the best you can to work with what you got. You know, time is a very, very long-standing thing, and if you are able to obtain a plan, you can get through any major moment as a creator. Overnight success does not need to be a terrifying thing as long as you plan it out and take on the project one piece at a time, and understand that comparison culture never quite genuinely goes away. Phoenix, I want to thank you so much for being with us here today on this episode of the podcast. I hope you had a good time, and it was great to have you as a guest.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
But
like I said, I'm enjoying putting myself out there more.
Heck yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, for anyone who's here today, do not forget, if you guys did not end up enjoying today's video, consider liking, following, or subscribing where you guys are watching this from. We have additional episodes available on our YouTube, where if you guys ever want to check out previous episodes, including Phoenix's episode, that will be published at the end of this recording, as we have a lot of really cool things coming in. And in addition to that, for anyone who happens to be watching this video, and if you are interested in joining the Silver Lining Podcast, my Discord is the best place to get more information and even have the ability to talk with me directly to schedule yourself for an upcoming episode. But ladies and gentlemen, don't forget though, we have our amazing man, Lee the Phoenix, available on Twitch. If you are watching this from the YouTube video, there'll be a link in his description. That way you guys can find that. We will be having that video out very soon. But nevertheless, so guys, thank you guys all again so much for being here today. I had a great time. It was awesome to see you guys all here today in the stream. And we will catch you guys all on the next episode. But for everybody on the YouTube side, adios, sayonara, and have a great time.